Hi, Dr. Mary here. Thank you for joining me in this fourth video about practical intuition. We've just had 3 classes in opening to our inner wisdom, and here I want to talk about how we can carry that further and move from living our lives in a state of anxiety over uncertainty to feeling certainty, to feeling comfortable. And this is highly available to us. So in the first video, we talked about our minds, and we learned how powerful our minds are because we have choice. And a lot of times we are not aware of the choices that we have because we aren't really learning to question our thinking and to understand that we really have ways of choice making, either based in ego, fear, anxiety, staying the same, or from our higher self in light and connecting to an inner wisdom that helps us in ways that we may need to move forward or make changes in our lives. All of these kinds of things. We learned about Adam and Elle, people who are applying these strategies for calming, like we learned about, and centering in the third video, and then both of them moved into this use of practical intuition, making an inner wisdom, a soul connection, very important, being the aspect that runs our lives. And so I want to tell you a little bit more about me at this point. If you know about me, if you've been following my work, and I've been at this for a number of years, I was in a lot of trouble about 25 years ago, and in the process of working my way through it, I had some Akashic clearings, and this really had a profound effect on me. It was like crazy. The changes that occurred in my immediate physical life were very dramatic, and that I've spent the rest of my life like looking at how could that happen, why, and what is this all about, what happened. It was just such a key experience for me. Eventually, I decided to learn to read the Akashic records so that I could offer this to other people, the same experience that I had, and it worked. I studied world religions. I went to graduate school, which is where I ended up writing this book. It's available on Amazon. And, studying other people doing similar work, what brought them to do it, what was happening in their lives as they got into it. And so this is very interesting. And if you want a lot more details, perhaps about me or other individuals doing similar work, this is a good read, even though it's a dissertation, which, have a reputation of being difficult. This is not difficult. So, one of the first things I had to learn in learning to read the Akashic records was pendulum dowsing. Now, I had never heard of pendulum dowsing. I bought one. I bought a book and taught myself how to use a pendulum. And then my course in learning to read the Akashic records of the system that I use was very direct and also a self-study, so I did that. And I didn't find it really very difficult. I think the reason I know for it now is I was not reading me or for myself. I was reading for other people. I started doing that right away. And then another thing that happened right away was realizing that people wanted answers for things that were happening in their own lives right now, and that with the right way of connecting, pendulum dowsing was fantastic as a tool for helping bring in that guidance from their inner wisdom. Eventually, I wrote this book, Getting Started with Your Pendulum, and I make pendulums for the sheer joy of it. And this book I liked writing particularly because it just teaches you how to use a pendulum and the basics of intuition in that way of using a tool. And all of this applies to muscle testing, which I also learned. I had a little more trouble with that until I realized that they were essentially the same thing. So we've learned, and like I said, I hope you are applying what we've learned in the last 3 videos, that when we can first calm and center, that is what we need to enter a state where we have access to our inner wisdom, where our intuition is directed towards wisdom and light rather than being hijacked by fear and anxiety, this kind of thing. And so as I've gone along, I've become really dedicated to teaching the language of intuition to as many people as I can, of all ages. And this is what I'm doing. So in my live workshops, after we get into the calming and centering, and we have to do this, and we don't, first of all, this doesn't mean you have to be calm and centered every moment of every day. What it means is you want to be. I want to be, but this is not how it happens. But I am able to use these strategies and reminders so that when I do get thrown off base, I'm able to bring myself back into this state as soon as I'm aware that I need it. And that's what we do with our emotions. We start to identify where are they taking us. So I want to kind of give you an experience of a live workshop just in this little way, practical intuition. We calm and center, and I play a tone on my singing bowl, which I brought along for this video, and then we dive in. So let's dive in. I'm going to take you into what we learn in practical intuition. So there's 8 classes in the series, and it's really important to recognize that it's a process, and we're moving into the learning and the openness, and that you have everything you need right in you. You don't need special abilities. You don't need to think, oh, I'm intuitive, or I'm psychic, or I am or I'm not, or whatever ideas. There's no religion involved in this. I, have a belief system that has changed a lot over the years. I was raised Catholic. Now, I see value in some of the things I learned there, but it certainly hasn't been, where I what I have directing my life now, because I prefer my inner wisdom and a direct connection to my source, which we all have. So don't worry about needing something that you don't have, or having to be someone that you're not. This is a part of you. It's just actually, something kind of purposefully pushed out of our awareness so that we would be easier to do what other people want us to do, other systems and so forth. So we learn how to uncover the language, this intuitive ability within us, and also talking about what intuition is. And so it can be quite a bit of information. And I like to present, which I do in this class, the science-based information. Because the science that supports this is tremendous. And it is not being well accepted by the conventional science that we've had running things for the past, 300 years or so. There have been new discoveries, and this is something really important for us to consider. Then you're going to learn, you'll have this basis, and it feels really comfortable because you'll be able to explain to someone who would ask you why you're interested in this. You will have research-based science to also share besides that inner knowing. I teach muscle testing and pendulum dowsing, which I mentioned before, and in the second class in this series of practical intuition, we really go into it very deeply with their, video demonstrations, how we use it. It's very, very clear, both with the pendulum and with muscle testing, because people have their preferences. Remember Adam? In the second video that we had before this, he really prefers muscle testing. He was so happy when I finally came out with that video and that teaching, it's not highly complex. He loves it, and I love muscle testing too, but you learn how to do this because these are going to be such useful tools. People often say, well, I just get a feeling, I just know. And this is fabulous. What I found for myself, and also in other people, but you could be different, is that not always does that feeling come from our inner wisdom. And this is a way for us to have verification and to look at things more carefully. So before we learn these strategies, these techniques of pendulum dowsing and muscle testing, there is so much doubt. And so to actually do them and participate, even in a class, and I'll tell you that there are, there's some live classes you'll be able to also attend, even if you haven't already, where you really realize that this works. Muscle testing, pendulum dowsing, the kinesiology, this works. It is so obvious that you start to wonder, like, why didn't you know this earlier? And it will likely motivate you to share with someone else. We are making a connection, a link that is friendly between our rational mind and our intuitive mind. And this is the intuitive mind that reaches into our inner wisdom, and the rational mind that is interested in the facts and is living in the physical reality. Now, the way we do this is with questions or statements and list making, and using intuition and our verification tools to work with these ideas. And this is so practical. It's very linear. It is not what you would think intuition would be like, because intuition has always been, like, oh, it's sort of mysterious. We can't really grasp it. And what I'm teaching is grasp it. You can, and you need it. Then we have a class that's fully devoted to applying intuition, inner wisdom to our work lives, to our careers, to our life purpose. And so much of this is tied in with how we make money. So all of that is considered in a variety of scenarios. You should be able to find yourself, your situation or circumstance, and those of others that you know, and also the ways that we use inner wisdom to work our way out of a sense of total uncertainty, confusion, what's true, what's false, into knowing, to actually knowing what to do. What is it? Relationships are such a huge issue for human beings. And this class addresses relationships in so many different ways so that you will be able to really look at, parents and children, children and parents. We all have that. Our lovers, husbands, wives, those relationships. How do we work through them when we find things coming up, which this is where they come up in these close relationships? I look at students and teachers. I used to be a teacher, so this is a very interesting area for me. And in working with clients, so often parents are mystified at what's going on, or have, kind of a knee-jerk reaction to hearing from a school. A bunch of assumptions can fall into place. And when we are accessing our inner wisdom, we do not want to have just reactions and, doing things based on no thought, no reflection, just a sense of not thinking and not working it through. We can know what is going on and what our best actions can be. And just imagine how that would feel to get a phone call and be dealing with a relationship issue and have a sense of certainty and ability to bring yourself quickly into a calm and centered state and call on your inner wisdom so that you avert the typical arguing and conflict that you've had in the past into something entirely new that leads to cooperation and a sense of we can move in these areas. There's also a class devoted to using intuition, our inner wisdom, for health and healing. I think this is a fantastic application because generally when we're dealing with our health and healing, it's coming from dissatisfaction. If it's like, oh, I weigh too much, or I have, skin things going on, outer surface appearance. But then there are deeper issues with our health, and this is the body we're working with. There is no reason to think that you can't know a lot about this body. Not that healthcare professionals are not important. Whatever you do to maintain your health that's what you do. But what I want you to be aware of and teach in this class, and you experience consulting with your inner wisdom about a symptom that you're having. Where is it coming from? You can be a very important second opinion when you're coming not from fear and anxiety over something that's occurring in your body. But we tend to feel that. Like, don't you feel very often like your body, especially the interior, is really far away and distant and foreign, but it's right here. Interesting. And you can easily use your inner wisdom to make the choices I have listed here about things to do that would help you feel better. Spending time in nature, choosing foods or supplements or beverages, types of exercise, when to do it. All of these things can easily be worked with. Choices can be made. And really probably the biggest thing that holds people back is actually not wanting to know. I think a lot of people perhaps enjoy sitting on the fence, not really knowing, what to do, and then they don't have to make a move or change or be direct. And it's completely up to you. But if you're interested in this, that's probably not where you're coming from. Then we look at the major blocks to doing anything new in life. Think about it, anything you've been asked to do. First, you look at what's the schedule? Will I have time for it? And then what is it going to cost? What's it going to cost me in terms of money, time and money? These are obstacles we often have, really strange ideas about how much time we need or how much money to do anything. And so here's a class that takes you through a process where you look at your ideas and beliefs and find out what's true and what's false. And if you follow along, you'll actually be able to know, of course, exactly how much time you need to start whatever it is you want to do, and exactly how much money. You can even figure out where to get it. So this course, this is what I mean by moving from uncertainty to certainty. And it just takes practicing and doing it, like having the experience. Once you have the experience, it's very easy to take the next step. Now, after this, there's a very special class at the end of the series. The 8th class takes you into opening your own Akashic record. It's yours. Really, the Akasha is open. All of the records are open to everyone. Now, there's a lot of different beliefs around that, and there are people who will tell you something different, may disagree with me, and that's fine. Your record, though, there is no doubt for anyone that it is yours. If someone tells you you cannot read it or have access to it and that you need a third party like me in order to do that, that's not true. And how important is it to be living in your soul history, in your path, in the plan that you have for this lifetime? So I want to take you there. And by the time you've moved through these practices and learned all of this, you're going to be able to do this, and you will love it. Once you get into your own record, keep it open. Live there on a daily basis. Now, one of the things I've learned since I've had this course out there for a while, and some people, working with it, is that there could be a lot of difficulty. We can buy an online course that, great, we have the freedom to take the classes and do the work and go through it at our own pace, at home, anytime we want. And then maybe we do nothing. We don't even really get started. We have trouble getting started. We'll go along. Maybe it's difficult to keep going, lose motivation, all this sort of thing, which can happen when we're in isolation, working in isolation. And I looked at that. So I don't want you to give up. I really care about this. And so what I do monthly is I do an online seminar, a training, and when you are part of this training, Practical Intuition, you're invited to these every month. And they're about an hour long. Other people are there, like-minded people who are doing the same kind of work. And this is, I think, super helpful to know and meet other people who are doing this. We're able to work together. We do some great stuff, doing some reading for each other in my in-person classes. And so I'm also bringing that into our online meetings. So you're not going to just be left hanging with a lot of material that you have to open and spend time with. I think it's great. People who are taking the course love it and feel that it's really good. And I did need to hear it. If there isn't positive feedback, why put it out there? So this is, I think, the best way I have through these online live trainings to support you as you go through the process. Now, that is what practical intuition is. And this is how you move from living in uncertainty and being worried and anxious about it to moving into being comfortable. Sometimes we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Mostly we don't know. And we can be comfortable with that because there is an aspect of our inner wisdom and what we're using to move through our lives that gives us that certainty. So it's time to begin. And what I want you to do, your next step, is to register for this course, Practical Intuition. It's $197. You can register for it below, and we'll get started. Think about this. I think about this. This has been really important to me in my planning. Where will I be in a month? So where are you going to be in a month? And if you don't take this course and go, apply it, you're probably going to be right where you are now. Things will stay the same. If you take this course and you work with it, you're going to be happier. You will be so much more confident with what's happening in your life. You're going to be making clear decisions. You're going to have a sense of certainty when you make them. You're going to be amazed at the results of practice. You'll be further along on your path, and truly, you will be experiencing miracles, actual miracles, because that is what happens when we apply our inner wisdom to our lives through this positive, practical intuition. So don't delay. Sign up for this class, and I'll see you there. So register now. Just click on the button below. Thank you so much. I'm excited about our journey together.